And welcome back to another Mommy and Me episode. I am Brii Renee, straight from the A.
And I'm the original Miss Renee, also from the A.
See, you ain't last episode you had it down pat. Now you got to get the ring. Remember I said you gonna say it, you got to say it.
I'm the original Miss Renee, straight from the A.
Okay, that was good. All right. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you to everybody that has subscribed to our channel. If you have not done so, please hit that button right now, like, comment, and share these videos. Like, we appreciate the growth. Everybody that's like been rocking with us since day one, that's commenting about which episodes are your favorites. But we want to continue to grow, and we can't do that without y'all, without you sharing these videos with other people. So yeah. Today, I wanted to introduce, you see, our guests. I'm proud of us for having guests. We got guests like a real show now. But today we have Miss India from Land Over Labels. Introduce yourself.
I'm India Monae, also from the A. I'm just playing though. I've been here for 20 years.
You from the A.
I'm originally from Ohio, where they say I'm a peach now. But yes, founder of Land Over Labels. Real estate investor, real estate investment strategist, coach, realtor. That's the new title. All things real estate.
Period. Now, me and you met, it's been a couple years now. I don't even know how we originally met. Where were we at? Or was it just through Instagram?
It had to be Instagram. Because I think the first time we met in person was at Land Over Labels.
Yeah, so she has this amazing brand that teaches women, or it's open to everybody, right? Not just
it's
women.
Open to everybody, but we do focus on Black women.
Black women about real estate, investing in real estate, building your portfolio, and all the different avenues. And she's gonna go into that. But I was following her. I'm like, she is dope. She's killing it. And actually, I would tell her back then, like, you remind me so much of my mom. Just like a lot of things that you're doing in real estate. And I just admired that. So I'm really excited now. It's like a full circle moment with you meeting my mom, you sitting here in the space and us actually getting to have a conversation about real estate. So how did you get into real estate for you? Because I know you had a very unique story.
Very unique. I didn't have a traditional path into real estate. It wasn't even something that I wanted to do. I thought that I would do it later, right? So I thought I had time, like we always think. But I was in fashion full time. Like, full-time fashion stylist. I had a boutique, and I ended up getting hit by a drunk driver, leaving a pop-up shop that I had in the middle of the summer one day. As an entrepreneur, we run all day and don't eat. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
I hadn't eaten anything, so I was starving. So I remember leaving the pop-up shop at like 9:00, running to the Buckhead shops to go eat. At that time, this was 2015. It was just opening. And my cousin was visiting from D.C., She wanted to shadow me as a stylist. So she was driving. I was the passenger. And we heard this car like flying up the street. If anybody's from Atlanta, this is Far Road.
Yeah.
In Buckhead. So, it's been a busy street. He came up and he hit us. And because she had kind of veered left and I was a passenger, it ended up hitting me dead on. Right in front of the fish market on Far Road. And when he hit me, our car, he hit us so hard that the car that I was in flew back up into what used to be blue. Now it's it used to be instant blue.
Now it's blue.
Yeah, now it's blue. And it hit one of their waitresses.
Oh, wow.
She broke 3 ribs. But it ended up
fast. He had to be going on that street. That's not a freeway. This is a regular street.
Regular residential street.
Yeah.
And so the police report said he was doing over 80 on a regular residential street. Didn't stop at the stop sign, ran through the stop sign. He was drunk. It wasn't even his car. He was visiting. Borrowed one of his friend's cars. It was a Maserati. So we ended up stopping at a tree that was on the patio. And so I'm pulling up, trying to get about the car. And I guess it was shock. I didn't realize the car was smashed out on my feet. And so the car was smashed on my feet. It took the paramedics, the firefighters, and everybody, police, trying to cut this car off my feet about 40 minutes.
Jesus.
And so I got pulled out of the car after they cut it off. And I ended up in a wheelchair for about 5 or 6 months. And so obviously I was living in a 3-floor townhome in Gwinnett. And the first floor was my boutique. That was my business. So I had the office. I ran the boutique out of there. Second floor was kitchen, etc. Third floor was a bedroom. How could I roll around this?
Yeah.
So I had to get displaced, right? So I moved out of my house. Had to move in with somebody who had a flat. couldn't fulfill any orders. I couldn't ship out any clothes anymore. Was turning down, all type of styling jobs. I couldn't do any work. That's where I know BJ from. You're a producer. It's from being on set, doing fashion stuff. And so I couldn't do that anymore. And so that's all I kind of knew. And I thought about investing, as we all probably may have. And I thought, I got time. I'll do it later. You know what I mean? And so I realized when that car hit me that it could have not been a later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't walk no more. My baby was starting preschool. I couldn't be there. I couldn't cook for him. I couldn't bathe him. I couldn't bathe myself. I remember the feeling I felt when I finally got out that chair and touched the shower. Like, those things that we take for granted. Yeah, like, they meant everything for me. And so that time in that chair developed a sense of urgency that I think people don't have and we need for developing financial stability, for investing, for having things to leave to our children, and things that I knew I needed to create cash flow that was flowing, whether I was walking or not.
Yeah.
I had to work for that boutique, and I loved it. It did pretty well. I was young. But catching a flight to go style this and style that, I couldn't do those things no more. So the importance of investing, the importance of passive income, the importance of financial stability, all that became like daylight for me. You know what I mean? And so that's how I got in real estate.
So what was your first step into real estate? Did you purchase a investment property or was it a personal?
No, it was a personal.
Okay.
So that's me being novice. And so you've been to Land Over Labels. You know how I teach. I think your investment property should be your first purchase. Why? Because we're developing a foundation to continue to invest. And if I live in my house,
you can't invest. Yeah.
It's a liability. I got to pay for it.
Right.
But if I buy an investment property, somebody is bringing me enough cash flow. And the way that we teach it is that you're going to buy an asset that's gaining in equity. So you have a lot of cash flow. You're gaining equity. This is Atlanta. We're gaining equity.
Ooh, I was about to say, because I wish, and I'm glad that you say that, if I could go back now, I know I went to my mom when I was, 19, 20, and was like, I want to purchase my first home here in Atlanta. And we went through the process. I think that house was, $60,000, maybe? Between 60 and 80.
Yeah. I think it was
somewhere in
I think
there.
it was 80,000.
Yeah, but that was the first home I purchased. It was a personal property, and then I, lived there, and eventually it turned into a rental. I had a tenant in there at one point, but I sold it in 2021 for almost $300,000.
Whoa, that's the power of equity.
Man. And that's what I'm saying. If I had known that then, I would have been like, all right, bet. As soon as I got that one, I would have bought another one around the corner.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Use it as investment. Even though, and I'm going to let you tell your stories about it, because her having tenants and being a landlord, she always be like, I hate it. I hate it. You got to
I hate it now. So if you want to talk about it, we can.
Yeah, well, let me just say this. Some of you are newbies to the investment and rental game. I'm kind of an old school. I've been in it since I was like 19 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I've done everything from real estate, from building them, from renovating them to building them from the ground up. And I have had highs and lows. I have gone through Section 8 tenants to commercial tenants, the whole 9 yards. And so my feelings have always been mixed. Now, I will say this, and I've told my children this, and I'll tell anybody out there, that if you're ever going to invest in anything, it needs to be real estate, hands down. The reason why, and I will never say rental property is not a good avenue. It is, because like you said, it's income generating and it builds equity. But also, when you are hands on and you're responsible for every day, day to day, that means that you got to have tenants calling you. You got to be dealing with the repairs. So there's a lot that goes into it. Now, the reason why I steered my children away from it is because I didn't want them to have to deal with that heartache and pain behind it, the headache that came with it. So, but on the other side, I've always encouraged them to put their money into real estate, and I'll always do that. I love real estate. I mean, my portfolio, it ranges from, like I said, residential to commercial. And I'll always own some form of real estate. I love building because when I built, I tell anybody that I can build it cheaper than I can buy it.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you when I finish it, it's going to be worth more
than
what I put into it.
And better quality than what's being built. Because I be in my townhouse that is, thank God I have the equity in it. So it's not like a piece of crap. But I'll be like, Ma, this is cheap.
Yeah.
I be telling them, like, I know if you would have built this, this wouldn't be like this. Or this, I can tell they just threw this in here.
Good quality and to your liking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in custom built homes that she made my whole life. So I can tell the difference between cheap real estate.
I don't think y'all understand because y'all are probably used to this. This conversation is not normal in our community. Like, we don't build anything. We don't even own.
Yeah.
You know, we don't own anything. So I remember telling you back then, that was 2018, I think.
Yeah.
5 years ago, how blessed you were to have a mom that was leading you in that direction.
To your point, yes, I would say that I am very blessed and grateful because it shifted my mindset even early on when it came to financial literacy. Like when I was 19, 20 years old, I was like working in the club, making all this money. I was driving, I had my little Mazda that I had bought and paid off. And all the girls was buying, at the time, it was red bottoms. That was a shoe. Like they was buying red bottoms, they was buying designer stuff. And they like, why you making the same thing we making? Why you coming in here wearing your little Air Max and not buying? I was like, because I was like, it did not make sense to me to be paying, at that time, rent was only $1,200. Okay, but it didn't make sense for me to be paying $1,200 rent when I knew I could get a mortgage for half of that in Atlanta at that time. Again, this is probably like 2012, 13-ish, somewhere in there. So yeah, I'm like, I definitely I stacked and I saved so I could purchase a house early on because I believed in investing in land over labels. And that's because of what she had instilled in me early on.
Well, let's go back. She was stacking so that she could buy it back from me because I bought it. She lived in it, practically rent free.
Okay.
For years.
I paid the mortgage. It was 1 year until I got, because she bought it my last year. It was right before I graduated college.
But there was no mortgage on it.
I know you bought it outright, but I had to pay you back a mortgage every month. I paid you every month.
When you refinanced it, I made you refinance it and pay me a portion of my money back because you never paid me all.
It was only a year. Anyways. This lady taught me to put my money into
the right things
early on.
Or at least the right things first.
Yes. And I will say that was the biggest and best thing I did in my early 20s that set me ahead of so many others and set myself up financially. When I did finally decide what I wanted to do in pursuing a career in entertainment, I had that cushion of a property. By then I had purchased my townhome, so I had a tenant. So when the pandemic hit, I was so grateful that I had rent money coming in. Yeah. It was like, oh my God, you just never know like how much an investment can help you in the back end later on. But back to your point of like, and I know we all would agree, real estate is our go-to for investing. Yeah. But I've been reading this. Well, I just finished this book called The Psychology of Money. And it really says that you can't tell anybody what's the best way to invest for them. You got to invest in what you know the most.
That's right.
And we know real estate. So that's why it's best. Like if we have all this in knowledge in real estate, why would we go invest in stocks? I mean, not to say we won't, because we, of course, want to diversify our portfolios, but invest in what you know first.
Right.
Absolutely. And let me say this. When you mentioned stocks, every time I've invested in stocks, I've lost my money. Every damn time.
But real estate is like
every
guaranteed.
Every time I said, okay, well, the economy's doing good now. You know, I had my company at one point had over $1 million in an account. And the investors telling me, oh yeah, you would have made X, Y, and Z had this money been there for a whole year. I said, okay, well, let's leave it there for a whole year. That money, I lost $100,000 on that million. And I was so angry. So I pulled it out and I just, the hell with it, you know, using it for the company. But every time I've invested in stocks, it has never worked for me.
It's too hard to predict.
It is. Yeah. And you know what one of my other advisors told me is, buying stock is just like, taking your money and giving it to the monkeys to go, do whatever the hell they want to do with it because nobody ever knows. the stock market is like a crapshoot. Oh, we can predict this, we can predict that. At the end of the day, they can't predict anything.
They cannot.
It's a game.
For
But
real
one thing
estate,
I can
it's
tell you
like
about real
everybody
estate,
needs somewhere to live.
it is going to appreciate.
And
Yes.
God ain't making no more land.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And
no.
like you said, everybody gonna always need somewhere to stay.
Everybody
Whether
needs
it's
somewhere
a
to live.
house or an apartment. So
Yeah.
if you have renters in the apartments, duplexes, those multifamilies, or even if you buy a house and somebody buying it straight out from
Yeah.
you gonna make something off of it.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
It's the basic of
Absolutely.
economics.
It's buying a piece of property. I have never lost money on
Yeah.
buying a piece of property.
I don't know if y'all seen this clip of Cardi B saying that she rather buy Birkins
Yeah.
than buy the.
But let me tell you my thoughts on that. So land over labels. So we started teaching every strategy of real estate investing. After the first year, I starting the class with mindset, right? Because once you obtain a certain mindset, that things change. So yes, it's a headache. For me, Airbnb was a headache.
I did Airbnb for 2 years.
Headache. Absolute headache.
People don't
But
read.
people awful. And then especially after COVID, the
Mhm.
demographic just got real ratchet.
Mm-hmm.
But what I say, yes, it's 3 times a headache, but 5 times a profit. So then what do you do to offset that cost? Bring in a property manager.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So now your headache is decreased, but you're still making more money than you would make on a long-term tenant.
Yeah.
And so with real estate, it gives us the opportunity to be strategic.
Yeah.
That's why I love it, because I don't buy it anywhere that's not appreciating. And I don't buy anything that I don't have several strategies for when I sign those papers. Just in case this doesn't work, I could do this.
Mhm.
Right? You can't Airbnb everywhere.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Then I ain't buying it.
Right.
But you know what I've always loved, and I don't know, I guess because I have a lot of more creativity in me. I love the ugly ducklings.
Me too.
Like a fixer-upper.
And I
The
mean,
stuff you watch
somebody
someone
look
be
at
like,
it.
"Ooh."
Somebody look at a piece of property and like, oh, that's a dump. And I'd be like, oh, girl, that's a gem
That's
to me.
money.
That's a
Yeah.
gem to me because
That's
I
money.
see where I can go in and do this and do that, and I can make it look brand new. But that
Exactly.
goes back
That's
to
what I'm on.
that goes back to what I've always said, that God gives us all talents,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and we just got to figure out what they are
Mm-hmm.
and know
That's
how to
a
tap
gift and a
into it.
talent of yours, because I'm walking, I can't see it until I can see
That's how my
it.
mom is. I buy stuff, she be like, why you? I said, yeah, it's a mess, but do you see the yard in the back? I see a whole nother property built back there.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
So
I bought a property like that, 2010, 11, and it literally was a duck, but then it was an ugly duck behind it. But the ugly duck ended up being a swan,
yeah.
in terms of the property. It
That's
was
what I'm
amazing.
saying.
I bought another property, 2010, 11, right after the market, it went bad. And it was a 4-bedroom house. And I put an offer in on it, and they had, it was whoever had it, the property had burned down, and they were starting to do some renovations to it. And then the vagrants came in and they busted out all the windows, and they went through and cut out, some of the crackheads had cut out a lot of the wire, the copper wire and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made the bank an offer first I offered the bank $27,000, 25 or 27. And they turned me down. They said no. I said, the hell with them. They ended up about 30 days later said, oh, they played that highest and best offer. Well, my highest and best was 27. 30 days later, they called my agent to say, you think your client's still interested in that property? And she called me up. She said, they want to see if you're interested in that property. I said, yeah, I'll buy it, but I'm not going to give them 27 for it off at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give them 22. And so they came back and said, well, would your client at least go 24? And I said, okay, I'll give them 24 for it. And I bought it. My mother lives there today. Now,
Wow.
the house now is worth at least almost 400,000.
I was about to say 2, 3. It's worth 4.
Yeah, that house
What
is
is
worth
that in the
that house is worth it. And it has when you talk about land in the back,
24,000.
it has
Crazy.
a boatload of land in the back, almost extends to the next block.
And the front yard is
And the
huge.
front yard is huge.
Crazy.
So, I can never go. I call my mom. I says, look, you're moving into this house. that I bought. I finished it. My mom and my brother said, okay, fine, we're good with it.
It's beautiful too, and you added on to it too.
That's another
that
thing about
increased
ownership,
it.
having that power.
Yeah.
To put your people in position to win as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's amazing.
2 things really quick. Do y'all think the housing market is going to crash again with everything like inflation?
It is.
No.
It will.
So you think we might have like another...
It's already about there right now.
I mean, it's peaking, but
Mm-hmm.
everything is high right now. Do you think everything will go back low? Like maybe not that low
Listen,
like it was
the
2010?
world, we live in the world is nothing but a perpetual cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to crash again. I can't predict when. I don't know when, but I can assure you it is going to crash.
So we need to be saving our money up so we can buy this.
It is going to
properties when it
crash.
But this is why we always should invest, because it's a cyclical market anyway. So as long as you live in, it's going to go up and down. You know
The
what I
market
mean?
can't sustain. And the bankers, when you look at what happened the last time the market crashed, you had a lot of those no-doc loans. You had a lot of loans that were being overwritten. And what I mean by that is that the banks were charging the people these absorbent interest rates. The bank were making bukus of money off of this paper. And then they were, bundling these loans and taking them to Wall Street. In other words, mortgages, believe it or not, are nothing but ripoffs.
Absolutely.
Mortgages are
3-4 times what
absolutely
the house worth.
mortgages are ripoffs. And only people that get fat off of mortgages are the banks and the lenders and all. And if I didn't buy the real estate, if my next business venture, if I could pull enough capital together, would be mortgage company. I would have my own mortgage company.
You can't beat them, join them.
Right. It's a no-win situation for the mortgage holder.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you borrow $100,000.
It take you
30 you 30 years to pay me. It takes you 30 years to pay me back. You've paid me back $300,000 over 30 years. Chances are you'll never pay me back. Chances are 15. It'll take you literally 15 years to get that mortgage down to at least $50,000. Do you know how much money I've made? I've made $150,000 off of you already.
This is what I did on my last property, and this is what I'm currently doing on my property now. I don't pay what the minimum is every month. So let's go back to 2000, whatever numbers. I think my mortgage was like $500. But because I could afford to at the time, I would pay $1,000 every month.
Because what you're doing is what you're doing at that point is you're beating the mortgage company.
Yeah.
Because when you beat the mortgage company, the average person, if you do the math, if you were to pay one mortgage extra per year, if you pay one note extra, whatever that is per year, you could knock 5 to 10 years off of your mortgage.
I think it's 7. Yeah.
By one payment.
By one payment.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happened is people don't understand how that game is played.
That interest.
You see, you're right, because what you're doing is you're eating away at the principal, which lessens the interest rate.
Oh, and that's good. When you do pay that extra, make sure it's the principal.
It's the principal.
Yes.
Absolutely. When you eat away at the principal, you're reducing the interest and therefore the length of time that you have to actually pay on the mortgage. And a lot of people don't really sit down and realize and study what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
What have they gotten themselves into?
So even if you can't do double the payment, because I know, it's especially with these interest rates, the mortgage itself might be really high. But even if you just throw in an extra
Take that income tax.
even if you take an extra $300 and put it on the principal every month, like if you got $2-3 extra $100 a month to put on principal,
it will knock years
or
off
like
your
you
mortgage.
said,
Or better yet, take $100. If you can only afford to put $100 extra on the principal a month, put the extra $100 on there for that month. Over a 12-month period of time, you paid that one note.
Yeah.
You've paid that one extra note. And I tell anybody, when you can, if you can, for those that are going to buy a piece of property, if you can put at least 20% down, let me back this up.
Because now it's high.
Now, let me back this up. If you're disciplined,
Yes.
if you were disciplined enough to do this, put at least 20% down, whatever the purchase price
Because
is,
you want to go in with equity.
because you want to not only want to go in with equity, but what you want to do is keep the mortgage company from using your money. because every time you pay an escrow payment, all you doing is giving the mortgage company your money for them to go make more money off of your money.
Flip your money.
And then, and because what people don't understand, you do not have to escrow. They don't tell you this. You don't have to, in other words, you don't have to pay that extra mortgage insurance. They never tell you about PMI until you're sitting at the table. PMI is premium mortgage insurance, which means that they charge you an extra percentage.
Mm-hmm.
The mortgage company does. So just in case you screw up and don't pay, then they use that insurance to get your note covered so they don't lose anything.
Right.
And then they sell it back to that insurance company, that second mortgage. So what you do is, if you put down that 20%, you don't have to pay PMI. You don't have to escrow. And so what is the escrow? Your escrow is when they charge you your taxes and your insurance into your note.
Right.
So say, for instance, you want to buy a $500,000 house. And let's say, I think right about now, based on the interest rate, a $500,000 house will cost you probably somewhere in the note, in the realm of about $4,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking numbers off the top of my head, but it'll be around about $4,000 a month. I guarantee you 1,000 of that dollars, 1,000 of those dollars is going towards PMI, taxes, and insurance.
Yeah.
Well, remember I said you got to be disciplined, because if you don't escrow your taxes and insurance, you got to pay that
at the end of the
at
year.
the end of the year. Now, get this. You halfway have done it anyway, because you can't go to the closing unless you got a whole year's worth of insurance already paid in advance.
That's true.
So why not pay a little extra and keep your money and save up that money and pay the taxes yourself at the end of the year?
Yeah.
But you got to be disciplined.
Yeah.
In order to do that. So real estate is a game that you really need to educate yourself on. You need to know what it is you're getting into and how to make it work to your advantage.
Exactly.
There's so many like little tips and tricks and little
Absolutely.
things you can do to lower this payment, lower this, beat the bank on that.
Absolutely. And they never tell you about buying your points down. The average person,
That's another thing.
you buy your points down.
Well, see, we do PITI because everybody wants
They want the
FHA.
cheat note.
So the 3.5% down, and FHA, this is government backed. They're going to ask you to pay taxes and insurance. It's the government. Like, of course, they want taxes.
Because they think that that's securing them. But at the end of the day,
they're just flipping your money.
They're flipping your money. That's all they're doing. And I'm going to tell you something too. A lot of people think, oh, I get an FHA loan. FHA is the way to go. Oh, FHA is cheaper. FHA is not always the best way to go. You can get conventional, which is straight through a bank without guaranteed by the government. You can get conventional loans.
I got
cheaper.
a client with a conventional loan right now, 3.2%.
That's very.
And FHA is probably what, 6 or 7?
That's what I said, 7%.
Yeah.
Like, but listen, the bank is in business to make money.
To make money. All of them are.
And that's what I think Black people don't understand, that we're afraid to go to the bank.
Yeah.
The bank can't make any money if you don't come and say, hey,
absolutely,
let's put it on the table. This is what I got. What do I need?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But see, a lot of that's because we do not teach our children at a very young age about the importance of financial literacy, the importance of paying your bills, the importance of keeping your credit straight, the importance of not letting your friends use your Social Security number to go do crazy things.
Yeah.
You see, an importance of parents, adults, not ruining their children's credit before their kids ever get an opportunity, because my kids, and I'm not bragging, it's just that I believed I was so involved in making sure that I was educating myself, and I wanted to make sure that my kids knew the games as well. And so I made it a point to make sure that when they were 15 and 16 years old, they had a credit score just as good as mine. Mm-hmm. Now, they ain't work for it.
Hold on, that's a gem, though.
They didn't work for it now. They just
didn't work for it in the house.
Yeah, you did.
I was no slave.
Yeah, they just piggybacked off of me. But at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure that, God forbid, if something happened to me, they could go and qualify for whatever they need to qualify
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
They didn't need mama. And see, this is what we got to get away from as Black people, thinking that we need a cosigner. We don't need, thank God my girls have, and I've told them, and I've preached this to,
I ain't
baby,
never co-signed nothing.
and I
I
tell them,
remember I was in my 20s and this one dude asked me to put a storage unit in my name. It was probably only $60, $70 a month. I said, hell no. And he was like, well, if you don't do it, I'm going to go find somebody. I said, well, find the dodo brain that'll do it because I'm not doing it. Because of how much you drilled in our head. Don't sign nothing for nobody. Don't put shit in your name for nobody.
absolutely,
amazing.
Yeah.
you got to be able to stand on your own. Because see, we've said this before. My name is all I got.
Mm-hmm.
My reputation is all I got.
Yeah.
My credibility is all I got. My integrity is all I got. So if I can't stand up and my girls can't stand on their own, then I failed them.
Yeah.
I failed to teach them the importance, because as long as you can sign your name, I can sign my name to anything I want.
Mm-hmm.
I can go anywhere.
I can
Yeah.
go anywhere
Any
American
place.
Express is accepted. It might not can't go with my debit card, but I can go with American Express.
and sign my name.
Yeah.
You see, and that means a lot, because, people don't understand that it ain't always about having that liquid.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's about your credibility.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've been teaching your son about, not even just real estate, but financial literacy too?
Ty's a spender. He loves to spend money, but he also understands how to calculate an ROI on a property. This one, I don't think you should buy that one. And I'm like, well, it's in the hood, but I know what it can do. You know what I mean? So he understands investing, but he loves to spend. And I just feel like I'm trying to pull him back from that. It might be because he's comfortable. You know what I mean? But teaching him how to save is something new. He just got his own debit card.
Okay.
And so now I think he's kind of learning on his own. So everything that I've said is now making sense. When you out with your friends and you're using your own card and you like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm running out on this.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, well, Mom, I didn't get this because, it was $17. Well, if it was my card, you wouldn't have cared
Thank you.
how much it was.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think it takes for them. Of course, it's like college. You learn it, you hear it, you learn it. But when you get to apply it,
Yeah.
it's the combination, right? It's the two different styles of learning. And so now he's learning in his own application of, I don't want to spend my own. I don't want to spend my own. And he loves real estate.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to
I
be a
seen
developer.
you had him picking out like countertops and things for
Yeah.
a property coming up.
He has an eye. So we end up JVing on a duplex.
Okay.
So like you said, he
JV
earned
is
it.
joint venturing.
Joint venturing.
For some
yes.
people who don't know. So
Yes.
her and her son, that which is big, we can't just skip over that. You and your son joint ventured on a property together.
Yes.
What type of
yes.
property, and how do you even make a partnership with your child?
Look,
What
great
it is?
question, because like your mama said, he ain't earned it. But, so with joint ventures, you just come and you combine resources. He ain't got no money,
Mhm.
but Ty has a great eye.
Okay.
He has a great eye. His thing was, let's do black tile. Let's do black tile in the bathroom. Let's do black tile this. Okay.
He like black tile.
Yes. So Ty has a great eye. He loves black. And I love black. So that could be something that's passed down. But he wants to do black tile. And so we bought a duplex, Southwest Atlanta, brought him to the closing table with me. I said, listen, apartment A is mine, apartment B is yours. You can design it how you want. Let's have a competition. Right? And so he chose this black tile. And I kept telling him, like, Ty, your bathroom a little narrow downstairs. You sure because black closes the space up. And the black looks amazing. Like, it looks amazing, but he really has a good eye. He loves to design, and he wants to be a developer.
Amen.
He wants hotels.
Amen.
And he has this strategy for his hotels that's so dope. And then he wants to be a chef. He wants restaurants. So
Okay, hospitality.
I know, right? So, I think this project is just a glimpse into his future. And so I'm glad to be able to bring him on.
How old is he?
He'll be 13 in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
So
So he's
young.
he's 12. He's
Teach
12.
the king. Teach the king.
Yeah, well, he's been on properties with me for like 8 or 9 years. Well, 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years. So that's like since he was like 6.
Mhm.
That's his whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's got to the point where he used to be like, "Can we go?" You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be in here no more. Ain't no Wi-Fi in here yet. You know what I mean? But now you start to appreciate a little bit more.
Mhm.
This patience is a little bit stronger than it used to be. You know, I get a few minutes now before it's like, come on now.
Right.
Let's go. So yeah, so the duplex is almost done. It was a fix and flip. I was going to keep it to do Airbnb on the top and the bottom. Airbnb industry has literally shifted in the years since I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it's tanking now. Like
It's
everybody is
tanking.
like not trying to rock with Airbnb because of, you know, all the weird owners and then like people with cameras and the
it's
cleaning.
different.
It's completely
Yeah.
The
different.
city keeps trying to pass all these ordinances.
Mhm.
At one point, they were like, you can't have 2 Airbnbs within 2,000 feet. So that means my X is out. Because I
Yeah.
was going to do top and bottom.
Right.
So I'm still figuring out the exit strategy now. But that was our initial strategy. I don't like to
Maybe get
flip
some
out of it.
tenant.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, it's still going to cash flow much over the debt. And that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. So
Absolutely.
I thought it
That is wonderful. You know,
Thank
you was talking about how the kids, they have a different sense of urgency or a different sense of spending when it's their money.
yeah.
I remember, you know, my granddaughter, she wanted this dog. Okay, she's got this puppy. Now the dog has to have food. Well, she wants to go in the store. She'll buy everything she can buy as long as you're paying it. But when I have to say, oh, no, you go get money out of your piggy bank to buy, then it's like, just get the bare minimum.
Put it back.
Yeah, just get the bare minimum. Your dog need food. That's all the dog gets is food. you
It's
know? So it's funny.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they, you know, same thing with my kids. Oh, as long as she's using my American Express, the sky's the limit. But now it's her. She's got to pay for it. Then she's on a
Like,
budget.
well, I got apps that's telling me what got charged to Netflix, Apple Pay again.
Right. Again. We might need to cut that Netflix.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that starting young like that is so big, and that's gonna set him up for so much success in the future, and put him way light years ahead of his peers, and
Yeah.
especially in our community. And hopefully, like it continues to grow. I hate that it's like that. Like, oh, you doing this is an anomaly, or like you said, me being raised like this is an anomaly because
Yeah.
it should. And hopefully one day it will be like normal
be all of us.
conversations.
Yeah, it should be
about
all of us.
ownership.
That's how I started Landover Labels. Like
Mhm.
I went into the bank. I was young. I had on an Adidas tracksuit, I remember. And so I didn't look professional. This is professional for me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I went into the bank to wire some money. I was working on a property in Ohio. And so my contractors, I had known them for years. And they just hassled me down. I was like, there's no way you're not profiling me. They didn't send that wire for like 3 days.
Wow.
Like, they didn't let me leave the bank. They were like, who's telling you to send this money? What are you sending it for?
I hate when they treat us
It was
like that.
crazy. And I was like, are y'all kidding me? Then they said, well, we Googled the company and it doesn't do what it's listed to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, the company, you know, and it was a good friend of mine who still does renovations to this day. Just talked to him yesterday. He just listed a house yesterday. And they were like, do you know him? And, you know, and then called me on the phone the next day, asking more questions. I said, ain't no way a white man in a suit would have came in here and you would have did all this.
All
Yep.
of that.
All of that.
About sending money
Yep.
to do some renovations.
Yep.
And at the time, you know, you speak to your friends and family, you need to start investing.
Mhm.
You know, and they have more money than me, some of them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Clients. And it's like, y'all living lavish and got all these labels in this apartment. And come on now, y'all got to
And
start
don't
investing.
own a piece of property.
They didn't want to hear it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to teach you whoever will listen. And I remember doing my first seminar, I was packed.
What year was that?
2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
2018, 5 years. 5-year anniversary was in March of this year.
Let me say this.
Good for you. Thank you.
I was so intrigued about real estate coming up to where I used to go and buy all of these seminars and go to all of these
Teach you how to buy and flip.
buy and flip, you know, back then. But they were like, teach you how to buy with other people's money, teach you how to buy on credit card. All of that stuff is a bunch of bullshit. You know, not telling anybody. Anybody is telling you, oh, I'm going to teach you how to buy with other people's money. This, that. Stay away. You know, they're trying to sell courses, you know, because at the end of the day, no matter how you do the math, it still comes out to be the same thing. Your lender is going to loan you the money based on your credit, based on a percentage that you must have and apply. Now, there are ways around certain things. If you buy it in a company's name, then your company has to be able to stand for the credit, and you may have to be a guarantor until, you know, that company builds a reputation. But stay away from all of these get rich quick seminars and people telling you how to flip with other people's money and how to buy property with using credit cards from different banks. Stay away from all that shit, you know, because you don't need to do all of that. All of that is not relevant. 9 times out of 10, it don't work. And you spend a lot of time. You can be mad at yourself because you done spent $200-300 on that course. And next thing you know, you're going to find yourself in a world of trouble.
Yeah. And it all comes down to this. Now, let me be devil's advocate. If you do use other people's money, what I teach is it gives you the advantage to scale fast.
Absolutely.
Right.
But you're doing it still the basic way. You're going to somebody.
It's all the same.
You're going to the bank, you borrow money, or your bank in your case is other people, your friends, relatives, or whoever you pulled together with an understanding. But see, what people don't realize too is that when you buying with other people's money, there's a debt service.
You have to be very disciplined when you play that game.
Absolutely, because that's a debt service.
Yeah.
You know, you go out and you get, let me tell you something. I was fortunate enough to build houses, you know, in my early 20s. And
wait a minute. Let me ask you something. How did you get in real estate? Because early 20s.
Oh, baby, I got into real estate
when amazing.
I've been into real estate since I was 19 years old.
Wow.
My grandfather, who's deceased now, he was through marriage. I always had this insatiable desire to learn how to do things with my hands. Mm-hmm. I got a call one day and from a relative of ours, and property was going into foreclosure and they had some issues. And I was like, okay, I'll buy it. You know, how do I buy it? You know, didn't have a pot to piss in and wouldn't have thrown it out of, but I had a job. And a friend of mine, I went to him and said, hey, look, I want to buy this property because he was an old white guy named Donald, a friend of mine, Donald Trammell. And we used to sit and talk all the time. He used to tell me about investing and, you know, making sure I put my money in things that appreciate versus depreciating. Mm-hmm. Real estate was the one. And I said, hey, man, I found this piece of property I'm really interested in. And it's going to cost me $13,000 to buy this property.
I wish I could get some for $13,000.
He said, okay, let's take a look. Well, I went out and looked at the property. The damn ceiling was caving in. The floors were gone. The bathroom needed to be redone. There was no hot water tank in the basement, in the crawl space of the basement. So the property needed to be totally rehabbed. Luckily, my grandfather was like, hey, I've been doing construction all my life. I said, if I buy this property, will you help me rehab it? He said, sure. He says, and we spent the whole summer doing it. The house back then had plaster walls. They don't build them like that anymore. It had plaster walls. Mm-hmm. So that summer, he and I spent the whole summer tearing down plaster walls, hanging sheetrock, and sheetrock with the dead man. And those of you out there that know what a dead man is, you get a kick out of this. We hanging sheetrock in the ceiling with the dead man. Me and my grandfather renovate this whole house. We had to put a roof on it. I put tile. He taught me how to put tile on the floor. Wow. We put cabinets in. We renovated this whole house. The house came out. I was so proud of it. In my opinion, it came out perfect. I ended up renting the house out. I rented it out to college students first. Then after college students, I rented it out to Section 8 people. And then from there, I went out to another relative. And then eventually I sold it. But that gave me my first taste.
That ignited your fire for
it. And I was hooked. So from there I went on to.
And I think that's your first introduction to her, like really tapping into your gift of using
really tapping in my gift in my hands.
Learning
absolutely. Because there's
process of building.
There's nothing that needs to be done to a house that I can't do.
Really?
I can look at a house, I can look at a room and totally redesign that room. I can go into a closet and make it a bathroom. I mean, I've done it before. So when the market tanked, I just pulled a bunch of money, started buying properties and start renovating them. And I got a bunch of guys that work for me now. We built the last 3 houses that I lived in. These guys, they know what my standards are. They know what I like. They know if I said, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to make this. These are the dimensions that I want to see. This is how big I want this to be. This is what I want to do. And they know my taste. I'm going to crown it out. I'm going to mold it out.
Crown molding, honey.
I'm going to mold it out.
I'm crown it
They know the way I like for it to look, and I'm going to be happy with it. But going back, after getting that taste, I started building houses and renovating houses and things of that nature very early on. And then so I had this insatiable urge to build in a subdivision. So I walk into this bank down in Conyers one day, and the loan officers was there, and I told them, hey, I want to borrow some money to build some houses. I want to buy some lots. I was in this subdivision, and I want to take them down one by one. And he looked at me and he says, well, what do you have? I mean, what do you have for collateral? And at the time, I didn't have anything for collateral. But, I had a good game. I had a good mouthpiece. And so I sit there and I talk to him. And I thought, he was going to lump. He said, you know what? He says, I like you. He says, I'm going to take a chance on you. He says, I'm not going to give you, I think I wanted back then $300,000-$400,000. And that was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
He says, but I'm not going to give it to you all at once. I'm going to let you prove yourself. So here's what we're going to do, Shalita. He says, I'm going to give you the money to do the first. Once you take that one down, you get it done. Then we get it up. Then I'll give you the money to take down the rest of them. And that's what I did. I built about 5-6 houses down in Conyers in a subdivision. And I just got the fire.
Wow.
And it just kind of kept going from there. It just kept going and going.
I always wanted her to be a builder, but like for other people, but she always just builds her own projects and moves in, or like her lake house or something like that. But
I got burned trying to build for somebody one time. Well, at least I didn't get burned. She tried to burn me.
Mm-hmm.
And it left a very bad taste in my mouth. And so I was distrusting of other people to that extent. Now, if I were to build, again, I would build my own subdivisions, and then I would sell them outright. I wouldn't let you come in and hire me to build your house. I wouldn't do that. Now, what I would do is help you. I would give you the knowledge and coach you along the way, but I'm not going to get in there because I didn't want the liability of it. And see, she saw that as an opportunity, because my name, my credit, my everything is on the line while I'm building this house for her, and waiting for her to pay me the draw so then I can pay my creditors. And then she tried to backdoor me and not pay me, circumvent me, and hire this white guy that I had as my foreman, and tried to pay him less than she was paying me, and thought she was going to leave me
dirty.
She thought she was going to leave me with the lumber bill and with, some other bills out there. But then I had to show her that I was one step ahead of her. So when I put a lien on it and locked it all down, then her bank was like, we're not releasing any more money until these liens are resolved. Yeah. And then she had to come back to the table to me, after she'd given me her ass to kiss. Yeah. She had to come back to the table to me. And then she had to and she realized, number one, not only were you going to pay these bills that she did pay, the mortgage company did pay me, you owe me a percentage of the profit that I would have made off this sale. So when I had to show her that, I was a little bit more ahead of her than she thought I was, then that, going through that whole process left a bad taste in my mouth. And for that,
That's the only thing about this game. The relationships can get dirty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got some stories too.
Yeah. I was about to ask you, what are some of the things that in real estate that you've encountered that have left a bad taste in your mouth? I'm
encountering some, right? Can I cuss on here?
Yes.
Right now. And I can't even really speak on that. Look, but all types of shit. I had a pastor that was doing my contract work one time. He ran off with $21,000.
Not the pastor.
The pastor. Baby, he used to be like, come here, we preach on Sunday. You're scamming your whole congregation, I'm sure.
You're right.
Yeah. And he ran off with the money. And it's funny because my lawyer is real gangster. He's from Chicago. But me and him set him up. Remember the spoof apps?
Yeah.
We set him up and we act like we wanted our kitchen done. And he met up. This was months later after he took that money and ran. And he had a brand new van, brand new tools in the van. And we were pressing him
Did you take the van? Did you take the van?
I should have took that damn van.
Did you take the van? Because see, I would have made him give me the keys.
That's exactly what we should have did.
I would have made him give me the keys.
I took it further and took him to court, got a default judgment of $24,000. I ain't never seen a dollar of it. Because he don't own anything.
Yeah.
That's the thing about lawsuits.
It ain't worth the paper.
It ain't worth it. All you could do is suspend his license.
Yeah.
If they don't own anything, they can't take. And he don't have a real job.
Yeah.
So you can't come for nothing. I never got a dollar. I wish I would have took that.
You should have said, hey, let me see the keys to your car.
And I remember him
And
shaking.
then I wouldn't
He
get,
was just shaking.
you know, I did that to a guy one. Go ahead, finish.
No, go ahead.
This guy, I was building a house out in Ellenwood.
Hmm.
And I paid this concrete contractor to do the driveway and the turnaround and everything, the whole big thing. I think back then I must have had, I think it was like $20,000 worth of concrete that he had gotten off of his account. The Williams brothers, right? So I paid him. I paid him every dime I owed him. I'm getting ready to close because I was doing a construction to perm loan. I get ready to close on the perm, and the mortgage company says, "Hey, there's a lien out here on the property." I'm like, "What? A lien from who? I've paid all the contractors, right?" She says, "No, the concrete company, Williams Brothers, put a lien on the property because apparently the contractor who I hired didn't pay for the concrete." I'm like, "What?" So I called them up and say, "What the hell's going on? Why you didn't pay for the concrete?" "Oh, it's a mistake, blah, blah, blah." Look, hey.
It ain't no mistake.
So we kept going back and forth. So after about a week or so, he was a big motorcycle fan, right? So he's bragging about his wife had just bought him this big motorcycle. And he was down to his friend's house in Conyers. I said, "Okay, I got this Negro." So I called him up. I said, "Man, shit, let me test that bike out for a minute. Let me ride it out, Had some bitch let me come down there and try his motorcycle out.
You rolled out and
I rolled that damn motorcycle home, put it in my garage.
Oh, man.
And then when he called me up, said, "Hey, when we get motorcycle?" You know what I told him? "Nigga, fuck you. You get this motorcycle when I get my money for my damn
God.
concrete, right?" True enough, and I said, "If you don't give it to me, I'm going to take out a warrant for you." So I ended up taking out a warrant for him. Believe it or not, he went and got another buddy of his that was in the building business, borrowed the money to keep me from having his ass locked up. And I did not release that motorcycle
You make me want
until
to
I got
find
my
the pastor
money.
now when I leave out of here.
No, I'm
Because I should have
serious.
drove off in that
I'm
van.
serious.
with that
No,
van.
you get it. You get it when I get mine.
Yeah.
And I meant that. So that
Yeah.
I would have found a way to get my money out.
It gets dirty.
Oh, yeah.
And
it
that's why I
does.
tell my clients, like, you have to have trustworthy relationships.
You got to.
And you have to have your ducks in a row. Like, you need certificates.
It's so dirty,
insurance.
as dirty as it gets. Obviously, y'all still believe in doing this.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
But
It's worth the risk is worth the reward.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because let me tell you something. You remember I told you I had a crew that I've worked with for the past 20 plus years.
Oh, wow.
We have a relationship. You
and
see,
they're reliable.
and I can tell you that people that I work for, my credibility is everything. They know me.
Yeah.
I know them.
Yeah.
If I tell you, man, I will be there Friday to pay you, I will be there Friday to pay you.
Yeah.
If I owe you money and you ain't got to come, hey, did the money, you ain't got to come, is the money clear? I'm going to call you, hey, the money clear, come get your,
Right.
Can I meet you? So it is important to surround yourself with trustworthy people
Absolutely.
that are going to do the work, do everything is required, and you're going to have no problems.
Yeah.
That's the only way I will continue to do this. But I don't trust I can do this, I can do that, because number one, you don't know if it's going to be, the work is going to be reliable. It's
Yeah.
going to pass a certain standard.
Yeah.
It's going to pass code.
Now
So
you got the city. That's what I'm dealing with right now is permitting.
you pay somebody $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000, $10,000, $20,000 to do a job, and next thing you know, you got to tear it all out because it don't pass.
Oh, Lord. Don't remind me.
Both of y'all, speaking of the woes of real estate, are still like you said, very passionate about doing it, and obviously encouraging your children to do it, to invest in real estate. What are some things that y'all would tell? You would tell me, and you would tell your son, like, make sure.
Don't put an offer in unless you have the team already in place, unless you already have reliable people around you. Like, because people see a good deal and then they go picking up contractors. And these people are shady. They don't know what they're doing. they're under delivering. You know what I mean?
Over promising,
over
and under delivering.
Yes, taking up all your time. Then you dealing with hard money lenders for a certain amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
You did stuck on one project for 5 months. You still got other systems within the house. So that's the biggest thing is having those teams. I say you need to have an A team, a B team, and a C team.
An A, B, and C team.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
But if you got one hell of an A team,
your A team is solid though.
My A team is solid.
Listen, I might need to call you for your
my A team. Let me tell you something. I will never build anything without my A team.
Mm-hmm.
And people say what they want to say. Listen, I love me some brothers and some sisters.
Mm.
I have no problems with African American people.
Yeah.
I love them. But let me tell you something. My A team is not African American. Okay? My electrician is. I love him to death. But
I think your plumber. You got a couple plumbers.
I got a couple plumbers.
Mm.
But my A team,
Yeah.
but my A team is Hispanics.
Yeah.
And they are trustworthy,
Reliable. And can fix any and everything. And don't be trying to text and beat you over the head.
And listen, don't mind working.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
They're
something.
not coming up with excuses I had another job. I had this.
Oh, no.
Like.
Oh, no. Oh,
yeah.
No.
They have loyalty.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because we have built that relationship over the years. And see, that comes back to having that credibility.
Yeah.
The credibility.
I was going to say that's a lot of, it makes an A team. If you have a good A team, you also have to be a great leader. And I think to cultivate that team, because as somebody, I think they're loyal to you because you've been loyal to them and
Absolutely.
you've been dependable to them. So I think that what would be y'all tips of being that to your team? What does that look like, being a great leader or a great project manager?
Communicate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, communication.
And you can't, you cannot build a team or a reputation by being shady yourself.
Yes.
You see, my team know that number one, I'm not going to do anything shady.
Yeah.
They know number one, I want everything done by the book. If the code says it has to be 16 on center, don't give me 15 and 3/4 or 15 and 7/8. Give me 16 on center. Simple. And it's like, we're going to do it the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, no.
And they know I don't believe in cutting corners like that.
Yeah.
We don't do that because guess what? You're going to pay double if you do.
Yeah. And that's the expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they know,
Absolutely.
like, okay, if I can't cut the corner because she going to catch it and I'm going to have to do it over. So let me just do it right the first time.
I'm not wasting my time.
Right. I don't want that shit. Because you know what I tell everybody? Whether I'm renovating, whether I'm building from scratch, or whether I'm remodeling, whatever I'm doing, there's a certain level of quality. You see, I don't want to rent out something to you that I wouldn't live in myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that to you because I understand that, at one point in time, my mother had children that she was raising and needed a place to live. And, the shit that she had to live in. I'm not saying that we lived in bad, poor places, but, I remember us living in an apartment and looking back now over the years, reflecting back, those wasn't the best apartments there were. I'm sure the landlord could have done something a little bit better.
Yeah.
You follow me? So that lives in me. I want people to enjoy or to feel good about coming home. Feel good about where they live. I wouldn't want my grandchildren living in a place like that.
What that is the next, other than communication, that's integrity. And everybody don't have that.
And see, that's the problem.
You could have came from that as a child and still don't mind being a slumlord.
Nah.
But you have integrity.
Yeah.
And that's the part of the game that we're missing.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody. See, we people put too much emphasis on trying to
Make a dollar.
Show and not be.
Right.
Yeah.
Show and not be.
Yeah.
Too much emphasis on trying to make a dollar versus trying to, I feel good. I have always felt good about being a landlord.
Yeah.
I've never felt,
Yeah.
And my kids, any properties I've ever had, would I want my girls to live there?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have any problems with
That's a
it.
good point.
Yeah.
That's-
Oh, if you wouldn't live there, you wouldn't want your children living there. How you feel comfortable charging somebody else to live there?
Plenty of people do it, though.
Yeah.
Plenty of people do it. And that's an integrity that's being lost in the real estate game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What do you feel like has been your biggest obstacle while on this journey of building, whether it's in the real estate game or even teaching with land over lake?
Mindset. Teaching has just been mindset. I mean, I train and coach, and so many of my clients are in the position to own, but just don't have it in their mind.
Can't get it.
What
They
you
can't
mean?
get
How
it.
you be in a position and don't have it in your mind?
I had a student who I love to death, and she had 700 something credit score, had been in her job for years. She was paying like $2,200 in an apartment in Dunwoody. And she's like,
Apartment.
Yeah, apartment in Dunwoody. And this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Mhm.
That same apartment is probably $3,000 now.
Yeah.
And she would have still probably been there. I had a one-on-one with her, and I said, what are you waiting for? She said, well, my lease, I'm going to just go ahead and sign my lease again. It was coming up again. I said, no, you're not. So I talked to her for a couple of hours. She ended up closing in like 45 days from that conversation.
Yeah, because
That's how ready she was.
Yeah.
Right? And so it wasn't lack of knowledge. It wasn't credit. It was fear. And that's what I find is the biggest hindrance for us as a culture is something that is unknown to us because not enough of us own.
What do you think they're afraid of, though? Do you think it's afraid of commitment or afraid of what they think the responsibility is
Even
going to be?
simply having a conversation with the banks is so horrifying for us.
Mm.
They don't even want to get on the phone and get pre-approved. I'm like, it's just a pre-approval. You know what I mean?
That's the easy part.
That's the easy part.
Yeah.
But I do get hold on, wait.
We don't
to
talk
this
about
point,
it's
to this
taboo.
point, I get, like, after going through several closings now, it is frustrating. So I think you definitely have to mentally prepare yourself for that process of going through closing because, like you said, I have literally been on the phone screaming and like, you only doing this to me because I'm a young Black woman. Like, what do you mean? What it is? I'm an entertainer. This is where you could have, like you said, bank statements. So it is, but I feel like it wouldn't be this hard if it wasn't worth it. Like, why would they be fighting to keep us from it if it wasn't going to benefit us? But
it's tough and you get through it and then you be like, it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't that hard.
It's tedious.
It's tedious.
You got to pull all these paperwork. They go question you about, they want everything but your blood type and a kidney. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I started laughing because I was reflecting in my past. I quit a girl. I actually broke up with a young lady that I was dating because she had that fear mindset. Mm-hmm. I've always been, let's do this. Let's go ahead. Mm-hmm. Let's get ahead. Let's do something. Though. Let's try to. And she was so comfortable with having nothing. Mm-hmm. She was so comfortable with living in an apartment or not owning. I wasn't about that life. I was like, man, you ain't gonna make it, player, because I kind of want to get out of an apartment and own a little something, and you ain't quite there yet. And she was much older than I was.
It's a generational.
She was much older than no, but and you're right. It was generational because while her father and her mother owned their house, she had brothers and sisters that owned their property, was renting, properties. She just wasn't there. And it took me to say, to hell with this, I'm out. I went and bought something else and I'm getting in another relationship. And then all of a sudden she went and bought something. I said, okay, now you get it.
But good for you believing that and doing what was best for you.
Oh yeah.
But when you teaching, how do you get, like you say, the biggest thing is mindset. How do you teach them past that or coach them into that mindset?
That shift comes from turning into a producer instead of a consumer. And so we don't realize how much we're consumed. Mm-hmm. And certain things like having an addictive personality and being more logical than emotional. We don't realize how emotional we are when it comes to our money versus being logical, strategic, and productive. And so just shifting from consumer mindset to producer mindset, that kind of clicks. So where people Kanye once said, he was like, and I know, listen, I'm a Gemini, I love Kanye.
I love Kanye still too. We ain't throwing away. I don't throw away the great. Okay.
Listen. So he said, we are so used to we wear our value on outside of us because we don't own anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's where we get stuck at, to where we start spending our money on things to fulfill us.
Yeah. Or make us feel like we have arrived or we
Exactly.
made it or we got it.
Yeah. That makes us, that is success for us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's driving this. Well, she's wearing that. Right.
And don't own shit.
Hence, land over labels. It's not to say that you don't deserve those things, but set your priority. And so I think that shifting from that consumer mindset, a consumer is impulsive, right? Versus a producer who is strategic.
Yeah.
So it's, that iPhone came out, I got to go get it. No, the iPhone came out. What can I invest my money in that could afford me the iPhone?
Yeah.
Right? So those things, and just identifying the traits that may have come from childhood. So I learned a lot about our mindsets with doing these seminars. And the first time I really, really focused on shifting that mindset was when I did a retreat. And I made everybody identify those hindrances or those blockages as it related to money. And a lot of times it came from childhood. It came from being told money don't grow on trees. We ain't got it. We didn't think that we could attain those things. People would tell me they wouldn't even come to seminars because they were used to seeing white men as investors and they weren't used to, or they may have came because wasn't used to seeing a Black girl doing this, right? And so just shifting, what does it look like? What does ownership look like? It's not just for them.
Yeah.
It's for us. And so really getting a grasp on our spending tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing with our money? Because a lot of times we can't afford it.
You just don't know where your money going.
That's
so used
another
to swiping
thing.
that card, especially once we went from cash to digital.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just kind of did that in the last, I say heavily in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Y'all.
Yeah, like, yeah, we went.
Y'all.
Because I used to never use a card.
I don't
Now,
use a card.
All I used to use a
cash.
card.
I don't use a card. Only
Mm.
card that I use,
Is your American Express.
Sure.
I
Credit.
don't leave home without it.
No, but that's still smart though, because you're using credit over debit. You do carry your cash, which probably keeps you from spending so much because you still probably spend, but you ain't spending as much as you would just swipe and swipe and swipe.
Now that we see what we spend, we know what we can afford.
Yeah, because if
Exactly.
I look at my bank statement, I got all these damn debits. I'm calling back, hey, excuse me, but what was this charge for?
Yeah, I
You
use
know.
my American Express literally pretty
For
much for everything. Like every gas, every food, even clothes, especially because I'm an
Same.
entertainer, everything. So I can get them points and keep track of where I'm spending it.
Because
But
a lot
I
of those things are write-offs. But see, our problem in our community is a lack of education.
Yeah, that too.
You see, we don't do, and I said this before, even in our homes, we don't teach our children enough. We don't educate them early enough about the importance of buying a home versus paying rent to an
or
apartment.
credit.
Or absolutely. The benefits of owning that home, you see, I could write off all of that interest at the end of the year as a tax savings to
Thank
me and those
God.
repairs and things of that nature versus not getting anything out of paying $2,300 to $3,000 a month in rent.
And then when you an entrepreneur and you working out of home, now you
And a
can
portion
use
of that is is a write-off.
write-off.
You see, there's a lot of, we just not getting to the game. The game's been there forever.
But even though I will say, because I am a child, I feel like I can't speak for y'all about how you were raised or, what your mama taught you. But it sounds like I'm the one who is like the first generation of like what your son will be.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, my mom was the first generation, but I'm the byproduct of her and her actually teaching me early on. Even though, and anybody who is a parent out there who plans on or is instilling this type of stuff into your children, it's important to instill this and as much as you can early on, because life and the environment will still influence you.
Yes.
So even though I started out, I would say in my earlier 20s, way more conservative with spending. I purchased a home before I started buying labels. I had great credit coming out of college, unlike a lot of people. But once I got into the strip club industry and waitressing and making money, and I'm feeling like, well, my bills paid, and I gotta, I think my savings goal was $100,000 I had saved up. Once I had that, then I did flip and became a consumer. I did start to spend frivolously. I did become more of a product of, but I had the backing and the foundation to be like, okay, whoa, let's pull it back in. So I didn't go too far off the deep end, but just know that regardless, you still will be influenced.
Yeah.
At some point, or could be, especially I think when social media, I think it was the social media aspect of it was like, oh no, I'm a baddie, so I gotta let you know I'm bad. I gotta look like I'm, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, I'll take that even further. Even having the knowledge that I have and having practiced what I preach, I mean, we all
consumers.
We all spend. I mean, I may go in LB and drop whatever, you know, if I feel like
next time you go, girl.
Nah, I'm no girl. You know, but that's just who we are.
Yeah.
You know, I like to wear certain, you know.
It's human nature.
Yeah. I may
you want to look good. And I think that's like you said, a part of Black culture too. We want to look good.
A certain way.
And my grandma used to say, it don't matter how much money you got in your pocket, you better look like something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think we taught that as well subconsciously, but it's just about shifting that mindset.
Yeah, we're emotional creatures. So at the end of the day, as much as we learn and feed ourselves, we might shift back and slip back at times. But even you saying like, oh, I had a savings goal of 100K. Who says that? We don't. We don't.
Well, I was like, if we in here, we making almost $1,000 a night.
Now they're not thinking that.
It's not.
I know you know they wasn't thinking that because they would be at Saks at 12 o'clock the next day when they woke up. I remember I would see them.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a blessing to have that foundation.
The foundation will help balance out the bad habits you're going to pick up anyway. That's my point of why it's important to build that foundation early on, because you gon' at some point, and like my bad habit is shoes. Baby, I don't care. I got big feet. They gotta be flat. You feel me? That's why I'm always gonna splurge on a nice pair of shoes. Now, I don't know. I just had to cuss out my Saks rep. Like, when did shoes triple in price? I don't know the inflation, but
everything.
That is my thing. So I think it's okay to have those things, but as long as you got your ducks in a row.
Exactly. That's all about setting a priority. Land over. Not land, not labels, land over labels.
Not land, not labels, but land over labels.
Yeah.
So now that's why you started Land Over Labels. So tell me more about everything that Land Over Labels has coming up, and, you know, what Land Over Labels is for those of y'all who haven't picked up already.
So Land Over Labels is a wealth building platform for Black millennial women, right? Not to say that we don't include or invite others, but obviously we're underserved. And so that's our focus. And so via real estate, though, let me make that clear. Like, we talk about all different forms of wealth building, but we love real estate investing. And we understand the importance of it, not just in our generation, but leaving it, right? As the heads of our families, leaving it to our children. So what do we have coming up? I am going on tour. So DC, November 17th. I don't know when this will be aired.
It'll be right around that time, actually.
DC, November 17th, and then we'll be doing one in Atlanta, December the 7th. Don't get me wrong. Follow us at
Atlanta. Birthday.
Listen, because I would love to have you come speak.
Possibly.
I'll put luck. Listen, OG. Yes, OG. Yeah, we need to hear it. We need to hear it.
And I think it's good for them to see older, like you said, different levels of Black women in this industry, so they know that it can be done.
And it's sustainable. Yes. So I would love that. Look, I'm just shameless plug.
Oh, yeah.
But my coaching program starts soon, December 1st. It's called Ascension.
Okay.
And so it's our mastermind. So anybody that wants in and really, really get into the game, we do VIP days. We go into these properties. We teach you how to analyze the market, find good deals, all of those things, all those good things. Yeah. Oh, and I'm now a licensed realtor. So that's new.
Okay.
It just made sense. It just made sense. A
realtor is the same thing as a real estate agent.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much. We're just with the Association of Realtors. But I've never been in sales. Okay. So I've always been a real estate investor. People just assume that I could buy and sell on behalf of other people. No. And so now I can. And because, first of all, I want to get the commission on my own.
I was about to say all the money.
On my own deals. Yeah. Yes. All the money. And I'm getting ready to list our duplex soon. And so I don't have to go and get a realtor anymore. But other than that, I also just wanted to be able to guide my students all the way to the closing table. Because real estate agents don't always understand real estate investing.
They
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's different. It's
Absolutely.
different. So
So they can't gauge the market. They don't know. They
they're
haven't
just
put
going by
money up
specs.
themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, they're going by spec. Okay, you said 3-bedroom, 2-bath, good school system. They'll put you in, I don't know, West Bumblefuck where ain't no equity.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it was important for me to be able to just take them all away. But yeah,
I love that you actually are continuing. I love when people continue to build on their craft. Like you, like, I'm not just an investor, not just doing. I'm going to actually learn how to sell these properties, so you
Yeah.
can better educate yourself, protect
yes.
yourself and your clients. I love that.
Thank you.
And then tell them from for the coaching sessions that you have coming up.
Coaching is 8 weeks.
Okay, coaching is
So-
8 weeks. What are some things that they can take away from that coaching, or they can expect if they were to join the coaching?
How to build your team, how to structure your entity, your trust. 'Cause that's very important. Everything, like everything. And so it's an 8-week program and a 6-month program. So
Okay.
with the 6-month program, I'm taking you all the way through buying a property. Now, the strategy we talk about in the first couple weeks. Are you going to fix and flip? Are you going to hold it? Are you going to apply the Brii method?
Mhm.
You know, Brii method is my favorite because I want to continue to grow.
What's the Brii method?
The Brii method is a strategy we use to buy and hold, to continue to buy and hold. So it stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat, right? And so when you talked about that property that you owned, if you would have rented it, instead of selling it, you would have refinanced, took out the cash, and invested into another property.
Could have did that too.
That's the Brii method.
I should have did that.
So
I might do that on the property that I'm in now.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
I'm
you
already
pull
up in
out your
equity.
equity, and when we finance, we might take out 80% of the value, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could take that and you invest in another property
Mhm.
and repeat, right? And so that's the Brii method, and so that's kind of what I like to teach my clients. That's kind of one of the best strategies because we flipping out of it. I love fix and flip, but we're flipping out of our legacies.
Yeah. Like, don't sell grandma house. We've been telling people that do not
Yeah.
sell grandma house, especially like in the city of Atlanta. I can't speak for other markets, but I know this market.
If you want to learn how to fix and
Mhm.
flip, you're going to learn in the program. But the strategies it depends on where you are in your life. If you need the cash, fix and flip may work. Maybe on the next time you can hold it,
Mhm.
right? So it just depends on where you are in your life, your level of experience, your level of fear, your level of how good your credit is,
Yeah.
how much cash you got. But we go through all of those strategies. in the
But you
coaching.
know what? I was thinking about too, just now talking about like selling that house that I had. Even though I don't have children yet and no one to like leave a legacy to or to invest in with generational wealth, it did bring me so much joy as a seller. You know, you get to pick and choose which offers, you know, you want to
Mm.
go with. And I purposely chose this young Black woman
Wow.
that purchased the house. And it's crazy because she wrote me a letter and her letter moved. I mean, I probably still would have given it to her because she had a good offer too. But her letter was like, oh no, you're the one.
So I've done that before.
Writing that letter.
I wrote a letter.
That letter worked. That letter
I
got
wrote
me.
a letter
I'm like another
to
Black woman.
Monique. Well, look, where's the camera? Thank you, Monique. Monique sold me and Ty a property in that property on Metropolitan.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Creator's Cove now.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the house for $50K. It's now worth $400.
Crazy.
And just yesterday we had from 9 to 2 and then from 5 to 8, it's a content studio. So that was $800 in a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just being able to, and Atlanta really was talking about 5 pillars of ownership, and one of them is power. And so it gave you the power to give that property to another Black family.
Another Black young woman. She was graduating college, graduating Georgia State, was an Atlanta native. I felt like I
Wow.
was gifting it back to me.
Oh,
So even though I could have made more money off of it, I feel good because I
Yeah.
definitely sowed a seed into
and I
Black
hope that
ownership.
she's doing right by.
Yeah.
That's
I've heard-
amazing.
Tell me about the 5 pillars.
5 pillars of power, freedom, legacy. Let me think. Equity,
Mm-hmm.
power, ownership. How many was that for?
Power, ownership,
Power, ownership,
freedom,
freedom.
legacy, and equity.
Legacy and equity.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So 5. Those are the 5 pillars. And that's why we really stand on real estate investing as your vehicle into freedom.
Okay. I love that. Well, before we wrap up our episodes, we always do For the Records. For the Record is where you might want to get something off your chest. It could be about this episode. It could be about something completely different if you just wanted to get it off your chest on social media or whatever.
Oh,
But, or clear anything up. Do you have a For the Record?
For the record, someone mentioned in one of our previous posts about having a bad taste in their mouth about foster parents who
I saw that.
have fostered multiple children or multiple children at one time. For the record, I want to tell that person that, but for those people who are willing to put themselves out there to be foster parents to multiple children at any given time, where would those kids be?
Yeah.
We need those people. We need those kind-hearted people. True, there have been some bad apples, but for the most part, most of the foster parents are doing it from a place of love. And that's my for the record.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to add on to what I just said about helping that young lady out. I think for the record, you should invest in yourself. Or I personally am an advocate for real estate, but find what works for you. But on top of that, when you do it, it can benefit not only you, your family, but even others. Like I said, I definitely feel like I sowed a seed into the next generation of Black women in my city. So for the record, do it just not for you, but for somebody else too.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
If you got it for the record, what's my for the record? For the record, I do not believe in war. I hate to make this a heavy conversation.
No, come on.
But baby, what is the reason? What is the reason?
We in our last day.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And
like
I'm glad.
the Bible say.
For the record, read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Read the Bible, because
Amen.
if you don't recognize what this is,
Yeah.
and I just got chills because we are in such a scary place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get right with God, for the record.
Amen. Because you know what? Israel and Palestine are fighting over the Gaza Strip. And that's been an issue since before we were born.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're never going to solve that.
And it scares me because if Israel could be like the holiest place on earth and it's this much genocide and war going on, I'm like, we're not safe anywhere.
Yeah. Ain't no way. That's just the beginning.
Because you have some say, well, I heard a preacher say a couple of weeks ago that God gave Israel that land. Well, the truth of the matter is, no, God didn't. Do the history. The land actually belonged to, if you want to know the truth, more so to Palestine than it did to Israel. But, Gaza Strip is it's a strip. And they're fighting over it. Everybody's claiming the holy place where Christ was born. I mean, come on. Can we just all enjoy it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
you can't justify killing babies.
No.
By the
It'll
thousands.
never be.
They showed
You
on
cannot
television where they
justify
bombed
that.
it.
I can't
They
watch
bombed
it.
the
I can't
building.
even watch it anymore.
And you got
That's
all
awful.
these kids, with rubble on top of them.
Yeah, I can't either. But then I feel guilty for not watching it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
it's like, what do you, yeah.
I got the nerve to say I can't watch it.
And you live in it.
And you live in it. Yeah, this is crazy.
It's hard.
For the record, read the Bible.
Read the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, and then also before we go, we do I Want to Know, where usually we ask each other something that we want to know, and we have to truthfully. I mean, we have to answer honestly and truthfully. So, but since you can ask either me or her, you can ask her, we can ask, because I got I Want to Know for you.
Okay.
I'll go first. So I want to know, what if you do all of this, right? Like you're doing everything as a great mom to instill this into your son. And then he get older and be like, Ma, I don't want to do real estate. And I'm just going to sell all the things. Like if you have properties left over that you left to him, I'm just going to sell them.
So let me tell you something. I had a vision about that when I was doing my makeup today.
Are you serious?
I swear.
I know that. But
I swear. I had a vision. I remember thinking because I was just thinking about what we could be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that what I would say is I did my due diligence. You know what I mean? Because he could grow up and he could just be a real shitty, he could be a whole nigga.
Mm-hmm.
He could be a whole nigga.
Oh.
Sell everything that I work for.
Yeah.
And I thought about that. That's crazy that you asked me that. I didn't think about it that you asked me in those words, but I was thinking about legacy, and I'm like, well, we can't really control our kids. As good as we do.
That's what I was thinking. Like, you could do all of that, and he might be like,
And he might sell all of it and go get high, God forbid.
God, no.
Where's the wood for me to knock out?
Just go into a different business. Like,
Or maybe he could just be a bad person. As good as we try. You know what I mean? No, so I had a college professor. I was a Clark Atlanta. Shout out to Clark and
Shout out
Lily.
to
We just
Clark.
had our homecoming. And she used to say, oh, well, I don't have kids because I'm afraid that they might grow up and become a killer. And I thought that was correct. I said, who thinks like that?
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think that far about it. But he'll know he might gamble all my properties away.
Yeah.
What could I do? All I can say is I did what I could.
Yeah.
You did your best.
I did what I could.
And at
Absolutely.
least your conscience is good. Glad you know that. Because I think a lot of parents, I know we've talked about our struggle of like when her vision of what my life should have been like or how I should have gone about things. And then I was like, I'm not doing that. And I did it completely different. Now
Yeah.
we've come back and it's like, okay, I see why you did this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I see why you tried to prevent some of these things.
So, rebellion is just a natural part of,
Children and growing up.
yeah.
So that was my I want to know. What you want to know? You got anything you want to know?
I want to know if you can mentor me.
Oh.
I've been doing flips, but I want to do a 12-unit subdivision. And I feel like you can help me there.
I would love to.
Oh my God.
I would love to.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, that's so nice.
I mean, I don't mind sharing my knowledge because there's enough out there for everybody. I'm not greedy. I believe if I can help you prevent a pitfall, then why not?
Yeah.
Because I want to see everybody succeed because I'm not the type of person that feels threatened by anybody or anything. I'm not, because what God has for me
Yeah.
is for me. And what he has for you is for you.
Yeah.
So I'm good with it.
I would love it.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Look. Oh, when? What would you want to know?
I want to know, what have been some of your biggest challenges?
You know what, for me, so my mother and father don't own anything. But even beyond them, having support around the closest people to me are not as supportive as I would like them to be. And is not as supportive as I see other people having around them.
To that, I would say, don't take it so personal, because a lot of times you don't have the support around you by those people that are closest to you because they don't know.
I was about to say they have
They just they have no idea.
And I think that was your judgment.
I was faced with the same thing. My mother loved me to death. My mother is my biggest supporter. My mother would give
cheerleader.
My biggest cheerleader. She would give me but she just didn't. My mama didn't know nothing about buying no house or buying no.
Yeah.
She didn't know.
Yeah.
She didn't know. But what she would be there to support me if I said, "Mom, I need to." Okay, well, what can I do? Can I help? If and I'll tell anybody. There've been times, when I'm out there, doing my thing, and hey, Ma, I'm a little short. I need, can I use it? Hey, baby, use whatever you need to use. Mama, you got money in the bank, and I'm building a house, and Mama, I need to make payroll this week. I'm waiting on this, that, and the other. Mama got $10,000 in the bank. Mama, I need to buy. Baby, take what? Mama, I pay back. You ain't got to worry about paying me back. Take whatever you need. Do whatever you need. And so, Mama, I need to use your credit card. So they don't know. But I'm sure
they help you how they
within their means, their limits, their abilities. So
because Granny couldn't give you knowledge or information.
No, she didn't know. So I had to go out there and get it and bring that knowledge back. And so now I can say, Ma, all that hard work or that what you were able to instill in me, you sit down. The house she lives in, you ain't got to worry about. Don't worry. You don't own it. You sit down. You enjoy that. What do you need? You get so my ways of reciprocating, I enjoy the ability to be able to take care of my mom.
Yeah.
And I tell anybody, I don't want my mama to have to worry about afford nothing.
Yeah.
This is off on a tangent, but that's just the way it is. Ma, you want a new phone? Okay, come on, get your new phone. You want a new car? Let's go get your new. I know. And I say this jokingly. My mom, bless her heart, she's 83 years old. She has glaucoma. She's scared to drive now, but she doesn't. I try not to have a want for anything, but she won't take it. I think, well, you want a new car? I bought her a new Cadillac in 2013. How many miles that Cadillac got on it today, 10 years later?
Like 5,000.
She just hit 30,000 miles.
She'll go. She go to church.
She used to go down the street and to the church, but now she don't go to church. She do it online. But, but they don't know. My mama couldn't have told me how to go invest in a piece of real estate or how to build anything.
Yeah.
I learned on my own.
Yeah.
And now you're a mentor, so now you do have support.
Okay.
And help
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
knowledge.
I ain't gonna nag
Absolutely.
you. I know how it is.
Not a problem. Baby, let me tell you something.
I'm gonna Google as much as I can.
I love.
Until I text you.
I could sit out. I've got a project now. I'm working on, but I could sit out there all day long and just smell fresh wood cut.
Oh wow!
I love the smell.
I don't know if I'm that passionate, but
I could sit out there and watch my guys all day long. We sit out there, and I mean,
oh, see, that was a mistake. We should talk about that. That was a mistake I made on my last project. I wasn't there.
Oh, you got to be hands
as much as I should have been.
Oh,
until this past 3 months.
Oh, you got it. You
so
got to be
like
hands on.
5-6 months not there, and baby, I'm paying for it.
Yeah,
because they done did stuff that you didn't tell.
They did stuff wrong. They cut corners. That you know, you.
That's
so,
you got to have that team, but you got to have the right team, baby.
Yeah.
The right team, and part of my desire. And my goal, I'm going to do this, is I'm going to build at least 150 to 300 unit townhouse development.
Wow.
That has been in my spirit, in my mind, in my heart, and I don't know where it's going to be.
At
first, I thought I was going to be
wherever I can help.
At first, I thought it was going to be somewhere in Atlanta, but I'm over Atlanta. I'm serious. I'm going south. I'm over Atlanta. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just telling you it's going to happen. And I'm just sick of.
Let me put some money in.
I'm sick of Atlanta. I really am. I'm sick of the politics of Atlanta.
Me too.
I'm sick of the people in Atlanta. I'm sick of the taxes of Atlanta.
You ain't finna do all that.
I've spent all my life, my money, my time, and I've got nothing in return. I mean, I built some beautiful homes around here in Atlanta. I live in one now in the city of South Fulton that was just, annexed by South Fulton. I love it, but I'm going to sell that bitch and
see ya.
I'm over it. I'm over it.
Fair.
Well, this has been a really dope conversation. I'm glad. I feel like that hopefully y'all out there learn some things and maybe you can teach your children and hopefully open up the conversation of investing and financial literacy at home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you, India.
Thank you, India. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep enlightening. I know it gets frustrating at times because our people,
we're hard-headed.
We're hard-headed. We just we won't. And you got more energy than I got. I'm just, I tell
patience real thing.
My patience is real thing. And
listening.
I tell folks in a minute, I'm. Excuse my language, but I'm tired of trying to save niggas.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm tired. They don't want to save themselves.
I don't want to say yourself.
I'm tired, So anybody that want to be saved, I don't mind pouring into you to tell you every little thing I know that can help you along the way. I don't mind. Because whatever you're doing is not going to hurt me, hinder me in no shape, form, or fashion. Hopefully I can tell you something that's going to help elevate you a little bit more, So
I know
let's help each other. I'm good.
All right. Well, that concludes this episode of Mommy and Me. See you next week.